Are you carefully cutting and sewing your block together, but it often ends up too small to fit into the rest of your quilt? In this video, you'll learn a few pressing tips that will help you end up with perfectly squared quilt blocks. To improve your accuracy when making quilt blocks, you always want to double check your cutting, sewing, and your pressing. Now, a lot of people will argue and say that pressing is not that important, but it is. The smaller the pieces and the more pieces that you have in a particular block will require you to pay more attention to your pressing. Now, I like to use this ironing board cover with these measurements already marked on the cover. So here's my 6.5 inch block. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I marked the half mark. So 6.5 by 6.5 up to this mark. And I line this block up, and you can see up here that I'm a little short. So let's see. I move that up a little. That gets it pretty close to that end. Let's see if I can press it a little bit flatter. Pull this out here. So what I like to do when I'm completely finished with my block is to spray a little bit of this sizing on it. Not starch, but sizing. I'm using that sizing to sort of mold my fabric to go up to this line here. So I start off, I'll hold on to my block here, and I'm going to press in that direction. Then I'm going to pull that fabric in that direction and press. And now I see I'm off a little on the side here, so I'm going to pull that in that direction and press. So I've almost got this right up into that space that I wanted. So let's go over here to this one. I want to move that up into that space. I'm just going to press down for now. I notice that I've moved this a little on the bottom, so there. Let's get that back up there. Hold on to this end here. I need to pull that up just a little bit more. So let's get this pulled up and press down. That sizing allows you to manipulate the fabric just a little. I'm not going to be able to move it an inch, but just enough to get it pretty darn close to where it's supposed to be. So that looks good. Now, over on the edge here, I see I've got a little too much, so I can come in, and while I'm here, I'm going to mark that, and I'll take this over and trim that off on my cutting board. You can see that this cover is getting pretty bad, so I ordered a new one. Came like this. I'll put the link below so you can see if you'd like to get one. So the tip of my ironing board goes here. Right about here is where all these 1-inch marks start. So let me get this put on and show you what it looks like. So here's where the measurements start. Then I have this gridded section with these 45-degree lines, which is very helpful when I'm sewing triangles and diamonds. Then over here, I have a circular grid in a little place to help me keep track of my pins. I always use one of my rulers to make sure that this grid is straight before pressing, because as you can see, this cover can shift from time to time. So I'll just line up my ruler on the vertical and horizontal lines, and I see that these vertical lines are what's really crooked here. If I come over here and put a little tug on those lines, I can get this lined up a little bit better. And let me tug on this side here. And there, it's looking a little bit better. Not ready to buy a new ironing board cover? You can always take a permanent marker and draw on your ironing board cover. I used to love to make 10.5-inch blocks, so I always had a 10.5-inch block on my ironing board because I could use that to double check all the blocks that I sewed. So there's my 10.5-inch block, and I could put a 6.5 in here or whatever. Hope you get a chance to try pressing on a grid or using sizing to help mold your blocks. Thanks for visiting LearnHowToQuilt.com. Please like, subscribe, and share our videos with your friends. Remember, if you're trying to find us on the internet, type in LearnHowToQuilt.com. Don't forget the .com. Using the .com will get you right to our site.